Hello there, kia ora. I realise it's midway through December at the moment and everybody's starting to unwind and, let's face it, slack off a little bit at work because the end is really, really soon and it's been such a long year and we all deserve something of a holiday. And you know what? Our government is no different. And we can see that with some of the stuff that's been happening in Parliament this last week, like the saga of the ferries. It's honestly, this whole thing is ridiculous. And I was going to go through each and every twist, but again, end of the year, I can't be bothered going through and relitigating all of the stupidity that's involved with this. Cancelling it for tax cuts for landlords, and then saying, oh, it was actually $3 million. It was 2.6 to begin with, and now they're actually saying it's $4 million as a potential cost because they're taking the very, very worst case scenario and expanding it and saying this is what would actually be costing you, and it probably wouldn't. But hey, why would people listen to, facts? There was the whole debacle over the last couple of days about, yes, we've got a plan, but we can't tell you what the plan is other than they're going to be smaller boats. And we can't tell you how much they cost, despite the fact that that information was actually leaked the day before to stuff. And the leader of one of our coalition parties was on the radio the very next day going, hey, it's actually going to cost us more than the original IREX thing that we cancelled. Oh, by the way, we haven't got any plan in place for how we're going to upgrade the infrastructure. So those ports in Wellington and Picton, which are currently halfway through construction under tents, who knows what's going to happen with them, but I'm sure it will be absolutely fine because we've totally got a plan, like totally. Except the very next day when Winston Peters turned around and said, actually, we don't have a plan. We're starting again, everything from scratch now that I'm the minister in charge of rail, and whatever Nicola or David said is completely wrong because I'm in charge. And I'm sure it's going to bode really well that the man who listens to conspiracy theorists thinks that being gender critical is being safe for women and who seems to not really understand what RSE is in schools because of, I don't know, the amount of whiskey he drinks. He's the person in charge of one of our largest infrastructure networks now. I'm sure this is going to end really well. Really well. If you want a really simple version of just how slack our government is getting over the holidays, take a look at this. This is, a really lazy headline from RNZ about David Seymour going after hairdressers in his Ministry of Regulation. But hey, they got to do a funny pun in their headline for it. Honestly, the way that our mainstream media just platforms whatever it is that ACT says is a real concern. And we should be very, very worried about how uncritical they are of ACT in their press releases. Nothing bad could possibly ever happen from platforming a group that seems to think that libertarianism is the same as nanny statism. Anyway, this whole regulation thing is just laziness. And we know that because David let slip back in November that is exactly what he was planning on doing. He was going to go after regulation for hairdressing for his new Ministry of Regulation because it's easy. It's shooting fish in a barrel. It's not overly complicated. Because overly complicated regulation, the kind he likes to complain about, that's there for a reason, like to keep people alive. And, even David Seymour's not dumb enough to say he actually wants people dead. He just implies it in other ways. Like I said in another video that seems to get people upset, ACT don't like complicated situations or explainers. This is more evidence of that. And over the next couple of weeks, we're probably going to see very similar stuff as the government starts to wind down and everybody kind of slacks off a little bit. And you know what? I'm really kind of looking forward to that because it's so much more fun and so much easier to point out just how ridiculous that they all seem. But I won't be doing that all the time. I'm going on holiday. I'm going to take Sting over here. We're going to go to Hobbiton, and that will be the next big adventure that I go on, Hobbiton. Because again, end of the year, winding down. Maybe you should do the same. Let's wind down, relax, and try not to stress too much about that thing that they do in Wellington. Wait, you're still here? It's over. I'll find another video.